This is the video for January the 3rd, 2017, and I've titled it, Tree of Life and the Right Mind. I mentioned in my previous video that I had listened to another video by the minister of a church I visited in 1983. His name is Bill Donahue. That video is titled Tree of Life. He provides a fascinating take on right and left brain, saying that the left brain is 10%, while the right brain, which is the spiritual part of us, makes up the rest. Of course, as he points out, we live from the left brain, which allows us to function in the physical world. The way to get into our right mind is through meditation. That taps into the intuitive part of our being. Religion, he says, and he quotes scripture, locks us into the left brain, blocking us from our greatest potential. While the video seems to stop abruptly the half hour that plays provides much food for thought, or perhaps more correctly, something to meditate about. I'd certainly like to be able to be more right-minded than perhaps I have been. How about you? There were some errors in that I noticed as I read it out loud, but hopefully I'll be able to fix them before I actually put it up online. Ironically, I think I've listened to his video now 3 or 4 times. I don't remember when I've ever listened to a video that many times, but I've listened to that plus 3 or 4 of his other videos as well, including a long video interview with someone who has been my friend in the past, who called Kate of Gaia. His name is Kate of Gaia, but he dresses like a woman, and that's always been a turnoff for me. But be that as it may, it was a fascinating interview, and I really was impressed by the depth of spiritual understanding that Kate expressed in that interview, which is what, almost 3 years old now. I think it was January 2014 that the interview took place. In any case, there was a lot of food for thought. And I realize that in the past, when I listened to some of his messages, some parts of them did not make sense to me. And I thought, well, I agree with that, but not that. I'm at the place now where I realize that some of the ideas that have blocked me from being able to accept some of the things he's saying stood in the way of perhaps the area of growth that I now have to face. And perhaps that's why all the things that have happened to me over the past couple of years have happened to let me know that, look, I still don't get it. If I got it, perhaps some of the things that have happened to me wouldn't have happened. I don't know that that's true, but I'm weighing the possibility of having been blocking my own development as a spiritual being by blocking out things that seem to be so much opposed to the traditional ideology that I've been raised with all of my life and just simply took for granted. Obviously, for those of you that have been listening, I have rejected some of that all along, and I've tried to embrace the possibility that, not the possibility, but the probability that all religion contains elements of truth, and yet no religion is true. And he drives that home even further and saying that virtually all the scriptural things that we've been told are allegorical. They are not literal. They are not historical. When we try to make it literal and historical, we miss the whole point. The whole point is to reactivate the inner self, which is dead because we have chosen to shut off our spiritual connection with our higher self, and to live in the lower self, which is only concerned about the physical, the things like money and the organizations and the and being right and what we've been told and all of the BS that has captivated our being and kept us in a cycle of evolution that we keep going around and around and around, and we never get anywhere because we have failed to embrace that part of ourselves which can only be embraced when we quiet the mind even for a few moments and connect with our higher self, and that's with intention. It's not something that happens automatically, apparently. It has to have the intention, and we have to make a choice. Are we going to focus on our spiritual part of our being, which isn't religion? I keep repeating that, and I have to underline that. It's not religion. It's the essence of who we are, and we have cut ourselves off from that essence, both because it's cultural to do so and because we have been unwilling to pay the price of going inside, which doesn't seem like it would be a big price, but to the mind throws up all sorts of resistance. Don't go there. Meditation is an Eastern thing, Christians would tell you. So you don't want to meditate. You pray, but you don't meditate. Well, pray is with the mind. Meditation is listening to God or listening to your higher self. Ironically, Bill Donahue, well, if you listen to him, I don't want to spill out everything. You're going to have to, if you're ready to discover some of the things that I'm being presented with now and look at things from a different angle, then you're going to explore on your own. I don't want to tell you all of the things that might be roadblocks to you even being willing to investigate, but I will say that some of the things he's saying are going to really challenge you as they're challenging me to look at things from a different angle and to perceive things through another lens that perhaps we haven't completely been willing to do so before. It's beyond religion. He uses scientific stuff. He uses quotes from the Bible, but he also takes things out of science, and he's comparing science and religion and showing the elements of truth that exist within them all to bring us to a place of greater understanding of who we are and what life is really about. So I encourage you, and I do provide the link for the one video there, although I've watched 3 or 4 other videos, but I provided the link for the one on Tree of Life. And once again, I want to remind you that it ends at about just short of a half an hour, and it ends in the middle of a sentence. So I don't know why it was cut off there, but I was actually, the only reason I listened to some other videos is because I was looking for the full version that wasn't cut off, but I couldn't find that. But I ended up listening to, as I said, 3 or 4 other videos through the course of the day here today. So I hope this provides enough food for thought that hopefully will find a hunger within you to want to research further, because we're at a time, in my opinion, when the earth is in a transition period, and that means all of humanity is in that state of transition as well. And we're going to have to decide whether we want to follow a higher spiritual path beyond religion and break out of the bonds and the chains of slavery that we've been bound in, and we have cooperated with that bondage far too often, and to our own detriment, to our own hurt, and we've hurt one another as well. But mostly it's about our own experience of life. And I hope, I pray that all of us will embrace the opportunity to rise up and become the best we can be. With that thought, I leave you and say namaste.